Welcome to Breaking Barriers. You know your path. We know the obstacles, and we can teach you how to tear them down. And now your host, CEO and founder of Adapting Social, John Vigero.
Guys, welcome back to Breaking Barriers. This is no stranger here. Alexa, what's up?
Hello.
Welcome back.
I'm glad to be back.
You are a mother now.
Yes. Yeah, a lot has happened.
I've been dying for this interview. So this is the three-peat, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is the three-peat here.
Wow, yeah.
Cheers. Coffee cheers.
Cheers.
So you're a mother now.
Yes.
I have a bazillion questions, right? Now, first of all, you know, what's it like being a motherpreneur? Let's start there. I started with the biggest question.
A mompreneur.
Mompreneur, yeah, mompreneur.
So I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a mother.
Right.
That's a loaded question. I think there's pros and cons to if you work for a company and then you get maternity leave, but then there's also a lot of pros to what I do. So I'm trying to think of like how to best answer this. The thing that is really hard about it
Well, I actually want to just elaborate. So for people that are watching, essentially what you're saying is like, it's not like if you own a business, you don't get maternity.
I have had my vacation responder on my email these past 5 months that I'm on maternity leave, but I'm still on my email every day.
Right.
That's the thing.
So you don't, that's what I mean.
You don't get your maternity leave.
You don't get maternity leave.
As a business owner, you never get to just clock out and not think about it, ever.
Right.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. So I wanted to distinct those two.
Yes.
So like versus, you know, somebody who works somewhere and is on paternity or maternity or blah, blah, whatever. So anyway, again.
My workload is completely different. And I also I have no interest in working as much as I used to work anyway. But my baby also came. His name's Frankie Jr.
Frankie!
Little Frankie came a little over 3 weeks early, and I was just about to like stop going into the office. Like that Friday, I like squared everything away, was like good.
Right.
That Monday, my water broke. So like my whole pregnancy, I always say I kind of lost my pregnancy to working because I had so much to get done.
To get prepared.
And I was on a time limit though.
Wow.
Like I felt like it was like I needed to get everything done before this baby came.
Yeah.
So it just went straight into the baby. And then after I had the baby, I had 4 product launches in 4 months preceding the baby. And it was a lot. Like I have a really amazing team.
Yeah.
That really held down the bulk of it, but I still have like I still have a lot that I do.
Right.
And yeah, that was a lot. So it was tough because I never got to just like fully disconnect and spend time with the baby.
Right.
And the other night I was actually like crying, telling Frankie, I was looking through my camera roll and there's pictures of the baby super, super young. And then you realize, oh my God, in these past 5 months, so much has changed.
So much.
But so there's these pictures and like of him being young. And then the next picture is like him nursing and a pillow behind him with my laptop on it. And I'm like, I hate that.
Yeah.
Now that I truly am on the other end of seeing how quickly it went,
right.
I kind of hate that I still had so much weight on my shoulders of working that when I would get him for a nap, it was always like, how much can I get work done? How much can I?
While he's sleeping.
Yeah, and then even when he wasn't sleeping, because I didn't know about wake windows and naps for a long time, so he wasn't sleeping that much, and I was trying to work, like put him somewhere and work, and like now I learned and grew so much from it as just like a human, a woman, a mother, that I don't want to be that way. Like when I'm with him, I want to be with him. I want to be present.
Right.
I got to a really unhappy place and I had to kind of identify like why did I get there and like what to do to get out of it.
Yeah.
Which that's another conversation, but I did.
Yeah.
So it can be tough. It can be tough.
Was it postpartum stuff, or do you think it was like the work related, like, and like you feeling guilty when you're working, and then also feeling like when you're with Frankie, like you're thinking about work and like you feel guilty for that? It's
hormones, postpartum. Like
everything.
Postpartum is gonna take any feeling you have and amplify it times 100. So it just makes like any little guilt you have is now astronomically like huge.
Just out of proportion.
Out of proportion.
Right.
But you know, you have to kind of go through it to like realize these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tough. But at the same time, like when I was telling this to Big Frankie the other day, he was saying to me like, well, you should at least be grateful that you still have a company and have money coming in and have a job and have a team.
Right.
You know, like you still have all of this going, where like a lot of people either don't have their job to go back to or something. Like he kind of like flipped the script
like that
for me.
Perspective we were talking about earlier.
Yep. So he like put that into perspective, and just like I said, there's pros and cons to everything.
There is. You know what though? So real quick, I want to take a quick peep right there, because when I think about the journey, right? So I feel like I've been fortunate enough. I met you early phase in your business.
2016.
Right, and I remember though.
Crazy.
I remember when you were like secretly not the owner.
Yeah.
And it was like, remember that?
I didn't talk.
Nobody. You came in, I remember one time, and I remember you were growing the following tremendously on Instagram and stuff. And I remember I'm like, you're not in any of this stuff. You're like, I don't want them to know it's me. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh my God.
I never talked about it.
Yeah, here we are. That's why when you were talking about all this, I just thought about it. Like, I remember when you were like, yeah, I'm not comfortable like sharing that I'm the owner. And it was like this like hidden thing, like who's behind the curtain?
I was really shy.
Right.
I'll never forget there was a girl in the gym. I used to bling out sneakers too. I did anything I could to just like have more money to put into the business.
Right.
So I used to bling out Nikes.
I actually remember that, yeah.
This girl that I'm friends with, Heidi, was in the gym. And she was wearing a pair, and so was I. I was wearing them too. And she said something. She's like, "Oh my God, I love them. I got mine from the Shoefairy." And instead of being like, "Oh, that was me," I was like, "Oh, it's cool. So did I."
Literally, I remember you like telling me this shit. And I'm like, "Oh my God,
what a weirdo."
But what a journey. Anyway, so fast forward, you know, from the beginning and like you being behind the curtain and stuff to now being very in the front. And building a great business, having a very reputable business. People know the Shoefairy. I know people who are women bodybuilders like that know the brand and company, not through us, like me posting you or you whatever, like just through like ordering stuff off of your website.
They should,
which is cool, But so fast forward now, again, Mompreneur, now you're, in this new world. So back to what you were saying, that Frankie was giving you that perspective of like, well, you know what, at least you have this, right? And at least you have whatever. What I think is so interesting is that so many times when we're put in positions like this, right, where, you become a father or become a mother, I don't care who disagrees with me on this. Nobody will ever feel or have the ride of their fucking lives like the mothers that go through the labor, are pregnant for 9 months, after all the hormones rage. Like I would literally be pronounced dead if I found out I was pregnant, right? Like I wouldn't. Most guys can't do it.
It's wildly nuts.
Right. And so, but my point though is that you shared like there's something different in you now that like sees what you want differently, and
totally different.
And right, and you were sharing how like okay, like you see a picture of little Frankie, and then you got a laptop behind you. Right, or behind him, and you're like, oh, like what the fuck? Like, I don't want him. I want to be with him. I want to be where my feet are, and not thinking about work or emailing or whatever. Right. So, do you see yourself shifting, like away from that like day-to-day grind, and like what does that look like now?
A lot. So much has changed about just how I want to like live my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like becoming a mother is a journey and experience that breaks you down, like really breaks you down so that it can build you back up into who you're supposed to be.
Right.
And the funny thing is that my friend reminded me a year ago, like
fire.
Before I found out I was pregnant, I was saying how I don't want to be stressed and working all the time. I want to be able to be present and just like enjoy life more.
Right.
And I think that sometimes like we ask God or the universe for things and he gives it to us in a way that like you may not expect it.
Totally.
But I would have never wanted to slow down like I am now if I didn't have the baby. I don't know if I ever would have. So I do feel like everything happens for a reason. I
agree with that though, because you and I had a conversation way before you were pregnant. Like I think we met at the end of 2022. Right? We were talking about just like some shifts and stuff you had going on. And you were like dial up mode. You were like, let's fucking go, like whatever, like taking over the world shit. And so I get it. So, but they boom, now you're in a different mindset. So what? So where do you see yourself shifting to? Like, what do you see happening next?
So we have hired help now, which I want to talk about too, because at first when Frankie suggested it, I said no. I felt really guilty. And as a woman, I felt guilty because I felt like I should be able to do it all.
Yeah.
I should be able to be with the baby 24/7. I should be able to be pumping and breastfeeding around the clock.
Right.
I should be able to take care of the home and make sure everything's stocked and the fridge is full. I should be able to work. What?
Right. 10 million things.
What? That's why I got so unhappy, because I placed all this pressure on myself that I should be able to do it. And when I do something, I want to do it great.
Yep.
So every day I felt like I was failing because I wasn't able to do all of those things great.
Wow.
And I was trying to do everything at once, and I felt like a failure every day. And so many days I would be crying and like also so hormonal.
Yeah.
And I would just try to explain it to Frankie, and no one else could ever understand. And so he said, he could take the baby 2 days, and we're going through different options. And he talked about bringing someone in, getting a nanny, and I said no. And then I had to think about it and take a step back, and I ended up telling him, you know what, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because I want what's best for the baby. He needs a routine. He needs to be home. He needs that stability. And you need to be able to focus on work when you're working, and I need to be able to focus on work when I'm working.
Right.
So we hired a nanny, so she comes in-house Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 5. And now I know those are my days and my times where I can schedule things, and I'm working.
Boom.
Even coming here to the podcast, I thought to myself, you know what, I might not really do stuff like this anymore, because I'm so dialed into these hours that every minute, every hour is very, very important.
So important.
Very important, because otherwise I can get stuff done when he's napping, but it's a gamble. You never know how much time you're going to get. And also, you still got to clean the house, still got to take care of yourself. I'm back in my fitness grind, trying to get my groove, my body back. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot to be done in one day that my time is I'm super, it's just way more valuable to me than ever before. Yeah. And I said to Frankie, I'm I don't want her to come Monday through Friday. I actually don't want to work that much anymore.
Right.
I want to have my days and my time with just my baby.
Totally.
And then, so for me, I feel like the 3-day split is the most perfect balance, because I have two sides of me now. One side doesn't want to work and wants to sit in the field with him, and I bring him out and we look at sunsets and but then the other side still loves working and is so passionate about what I do. So it's me. The past couple months have been me trying to figure out how to merge the two and get the best of both worlds.
It's so it's difficult when you have the option, right? Because you have the option. Whereas most of people are well, if I don't go work, then I'm not gonna have money. If I don't have money,
well, see, that's one of the pros. That's a big pro, though, where I have that. Right. It's a luxury.
Totally, that you built though. Yeah. You've created that. You've created that luxury.
100%. I worked and sacrificed.
But the thing is, too, is they always say small business owners, we don't get pensions, right? In most cases. And so it's that's part of your benefit as being a business owner, is that you have that flexibility now, right? I'll never forget when I started to really scale Adapting Social, and I had some time and whatever, and you know what Alex Hormozy is? So he said something that really fucking just hit home for me. He goes, when things get easy, that's when you have to go hard, so you don't have to later. And for Adapting Social, not that things got easy, but I've built a structured system, right? Where I have people running the day-to-day, I have people who are doing the things that they need to do throughout the week, and client care, whatever. So that I'm focused on vision, growth, the bigger next level stuff, bigger picture stuff to drive the company forward. And I remember for a while, not being on calls every single day, every single second, and not being so involved like I used to be. There was a long period of time where I was low key. I feel I've never been depressed, but I think that at that time I was. And I was I just was bored. I was doing shit every day, but I was bored. And then I remember having hearing that from Harmozy, all right, I gotta figure something out and do something different. But with Johnny in the picture, it's so crazy, because now those little free gaps of time that I would be normally on client fires or doing whatever I was doing in the past, or having to drive to New York or fly here, now it's wow, those little gaps where I was going crazy before, I'm just throwing into my son.
It's not about just you anymore.
Totally.
Your whole world changes.
The whole universe, right?
Every decision you make, every move you make changes, because you're trying to think, how can I best allot my time to be able to serve my family, but also be with my family and enjoy these moments. It's so different.
So I want you to open this, but I want to start. I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna kind of lead into it, because you said it before we started. So Danielle Cabral, who's one of our clients, the Real Housewife, she said something that was super profound on a pod that we had with her, and she said, she started Bougie Kids a couple years back, right before she was on the show, and then she had her kids, right? She had a couple kids, and then her whole life went to just the kids, and she said, me relaunching Bougie Kids again is part of me bringing myself back, because for so long I was only focused on my kids and I kind of lost myself.
This is good, yeah.
And I remember being damn, because there's so many different angles. Because I'm with you. I want to be with Johnny in the field, in the ocean, in the pool, doing all those different things. And at what point, like I no joke said to Jacqueline, because now we're about to have twins, right? So I go, all right, we got 3 under 2 years old, right? Which is going to be a madhouse, right? Like, so it's like, I said to her, I go, you know, for the next, like, we're having them in April. So it's like starting like March, like, or around that time, I was like, I'm going to start just shaving my head again. And she's like, she hates when I shave my head. I'm like, she goes, why? I go, because when I wake up, I don't want to think about that shit. Yeah. I have to just go, right? Yeah. And like, if I have to go to work, like, for instance, before I got here or in the morning when I wake up, it's like getting ready to do the shit I gotta do. It takes me like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, I want to eliminate that.
That's why that's why I told you before, I look like a homeless boy every day. Because I don't feel like putting my time into that.
Right, that's my point. But when Danielle said that though, it was like, okay, you know, how many people like wind up feeling that way a couple of years into having kids, where they're like,
tons of women. I hear about it all the time.
You know,
so many people have talked to me about it, and they've said, "Don't lose yourself." And I've thought about it.
Yeah.
Like throughout the past 5 months postpartum, I definitely never lost myself at all. But that's because
You think because you had the business still, though, maybe?
Because
it forced you to keep going back to your routine.
The business is a big part of who I am.
Right.
So first off, I know the big things of who I am.
Right.
Right. And I love being outside. That I have to do. I love my business. I love working, and I love fitness.
Right.
If I were to lose those things and not do them anymore,
right.
No, I would lose myself. But one, I still gotta work. So that's like my outlets for me that bring me back to me. It's like grounding. You're grounding back into who you are.
Yeah.
I love being outside, being in nature. I just bring the baby.
Yep.
And all my workouts, I made it so that I have a home garage gym. He comes out. I get it in. So it's like those big pillars of who I am. Like I made sure to still be doing them.
I love that. Well, I think I saw on your story today you had the resistance bands on the garage.
On the garage track.
And you had little Frankie and his little thing on the thing, his little bouncer.
Yeah.
Hanging, watching you do your thing, or just chilling.
Yeah.
That's good though. You know, you're incorporating that, and he's growing up watching you make moves.
Well, I think I love that about it too. Like he's gonna grow up watching that, and as he gets older, be able to do it with me. And even he loves watching me. He just finds me interesting doing things. And I count every rep. I count everything out loud. So it's good too, because he's hearing it.
Right.
In between sets, I go and dance for him. And you know, you make it like a little bonding moment too. Yeah. Like you just. You know what it takes though? It takes discipline. It takes discipline to not let yourself get lost. It takes discipline to still do those things.
Right.
Because you could just be lazy and lay on the couch all day with the baby.
Right.
Or you could figure out how to make it work.
So make your question. Do you put like any shows on for him yet?
I'm not like into
Not yet?
TV. I also just don't really watch TV.
You don't watch TV. So there's this thing called Miss Rachel. Have you ever heard of this?
Yeah, I know. I have 4 nieces and nephews.
She's like a phenomenon. Obviously,
the nanny puts her on though. She was on when I left. Like she has it on in the background, and I said to her, I go, I hate this shit. And I go, I never put the TV on for him unless it's something like I'm watching a YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah. So so we joked around, and so like it's so funny. So my sister-in-law, she had her son 4 months before we did, right? And so she found Miss Rachel, whatever, because it's like, so the way that this lady does, she teaches, like she's an actual.
Oh, I know all about her.
Okay, so you know her.
I know all about her.
So the whole thing.
Yeah.
But she's like my mom is our nanny. So I retired my mom the second we had Johnny, and I was like, I need you just to help us out, because Jacqueline's the CFO of the company. She does all of our other company stuff. So she's like, you know, dialed in, and she's at a similar position that you are, because she's like, been a career woman her whole life, you know, then she jumped into adapting with me, and then now it's like, well, I'm gonna have 3 kids, and she's like, you know, I don't know how much involvement I'm gonna be able to do, or that I'm gonna want to do. And so my mom is at the house 3 days a week too, but we opt in for the bulk, Monday through Wednesday. We're like, let's just knock out that full week, and then boom, we have the end of the week. But nonetheless, like when we're doing stuff, like he loves watching Miss Rachel. So like if something happens where we're both like have to jump on a thing, or on a Thursday or Friday or on the weekend, like we'll put her on for 15 minutes while we're doing it, and he's just laughing, dialed.
Babies
like,
get like hypnotized. Mine's still a little too young though for it, honestly.
How old is he now?
5 months.
5 months. Okay, so he is.
I think he looks, but his attention span's like very.
I think at like 6 months or 7 months is when we started putting her on for him. But funny enough though too. Side note. So with the twins, we haven't had a girl in the Vigaro family in 30 years. So there's like between, I think there is.
That's wild.
There's like
What?
15 grandkids or something like that.
And they're all boys?
Not one girl. My last girl was my sister.
Whoa.
Right. So.
Wild.
Yeah. So now, like, there's all this pressure, right? Where we're like, oh my gosh, like, is it one a girl? Is it two girls? Is it two boys? It's like 99.9% chance it's going to be boys based on everybody's situation.
Oh.
But so if we do wind up having, so no matter what, because Jacqueline loves the name Frankie.
Really?
So one of my
it could go either.
Yeah,
I've heard it either gender.
one of my ancestors is named Francisco. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna give them like a normal name. Yeah, so Francisco, we want to nickname him Frankie.
Yeah.
So that's why you keep saying, right, like, oh, I'm gonna use it because I love the name Frankie. Like, if we have two boys, I wanted Frankie and Anthony. But she doesn't like Anthony. She's like, because that's my middle name. She's like, we can't. You got John Jr. Like, we can't do Anthony now. Like, but nonetheless. So anyway, you were saying the beginning though of you essentially having Frankie wasn't enjoyable in the beginning, right? So, and obviously you shared that like it was because you had all these expectations of just doing everything.
Mom. There's a lot going on. You don't know what you're doing. He was very colicky.
Was he?
Like, yeah, for 3 to 4 months.
Oh my goodness.
But I also didn't know about wake windows, that I need to make him go to bed. The first 6 weeks, they just sleep on demand. I just thought, they just keep sleeping when they're tired.
Yeah.
Oh no, that changes. But I didn't know that. Like, there's just a lot you don't know. Like, and your whole life suddenly just did a 180. Like, you're just like, whoa. Like, I was someone, go, 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 travel here, and now totally different. Now I'm home. Like, it was a huge identity shift to the point where it was like, wait. That's why I said I believe becoming a mother breaks you down, like to the ground, to build you back up, because that's what it did to me. It was kind of like,
that's powerful.
It's like I don't want to say I lost myself, but I had to discover who I was now. I was a new version.
Now you're Alexa 3.0.
I'm a totally new version of myself, and it was like so. Like, my priorities are different, like my wants are different, everything about me is different, everything's different.
Totally.
So it's kind of like you're rediscovering, like, well, who am I now? And who do I want to be? Like, I have the luxury to be able to create this day that I want. Like, how do I want to live my days?
Right.
It's been a wild self-exploration journey.
I can imagine.
I'm also someone that is very deep into everything. Like, I don't just like
I feel like
allow feelings to, like, no, like, I have to if I'm unhappy, I have to like figure out why.
Right.
How do we solve it? Like, everything's this big equation in my head. Like, I'm just like too much of a deep thinker with things.
It's like the algebra like equation with Einstein in the background, like looking at all these.
That's like me trying to figure my brain out.
Right. But what advice would you give to yourself if you could go back, 6 months, right, before you had Frankie? What advice would you say to yourself if you had to give one piece of advice to yourself that you know now?
Slow down now. Work's not as important as you think it is.
Boom. So
that came to me very easily.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she was ready for that one.
Really, I didn't think about that before. Just like right away it came to me.
But okay, so let's talk about this. So now you and Big Frankie,
Frankie, whatever. I call him Frankie.
Okay.
People call him Frank.
So now he owns his own business too? So you both are doing it?
Yeah, two entrepreneurs.
Right.
Two crazy businesses that are growing and thriving right now.
Yeah. So how has it been? So a lot of people watching this that are in similar positions, like Jack and I, same thing, right? Like, we're in the same business, but we're in different divisions of the business, right? But how is it with you two operating all of this? Like, how has it been?
Yeah. Well, luckily our businesses operate differently. So his is he's got to be there.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of him
in person, right.
A lot, where I can do a lot from home.
Okay.
So I'm able to be the one home, making sure everything's scheduled, tended to. Luckily we're in separate positions like that.
Right.
But otherwise, he's really in hustle grind mode right now and has to be there. So he's not around as much as I know he would like to be.
Yeah.
But honestly, he's the most positive, strong person. So I've had a million breakdowns.
Then he's just there for it.
100%. always knows the perfect thing to say, no matter what's going on in his day, how stressed out he is.
Right.
Like the baby and I, like his family, our family is no matter what, like always his priority, and he's there to just kind of like help lift me up.
Now, do you have your parents or his parents helping at all with stuff or no?
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like both of our parents, we live right in the middle of them, both super helpful and willing to help, want to help. But what I needed was consistency with the schedule. It was like he would take the baby to work sometimes, someone would take, and I'm like, I can't, like, I feel like my life is so out of my control.
Right.
Like, I wake up, I don't know my days. Like, I need control over my life again.
Right.
I need consistency. I need a schedule. Like, it's great. Everyone wants to help when they can, but that doesn't help me. It really doesn't. Like, I need to feel like I'm in control of my life again. So that's why we did hiring, but then we also have both of our parents to help.
Right.
Whenever we want to do a date night, we have a wedding,
something
or
going on.
They just want to hang out with the baby.
Yeah.
So we're very fortunate.
Yeah, that's really beneficial. Do you guys plan to have, at least right now, do you guys plan to have more children? So you want to have more kids? Like, do you know how many kids you want to have, ideally?
Me? No, I don't know. I know
like 17.
Frankie would have like 10. He wants to. when I told him you guys are having twins, he was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yeah, we're so stoked. Oh my god.
I'm like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." How many kids? I would say probably 3.
Yeah.
I would be good with 3.
Yeah, 3 is a good number. You know, it's like you have enough there. You know, and the one thing I constantly think about, Alexa, is like, so when we're all older, like when we're like in our 50s or 60s, like let's call it late 50s, early 60s, right? Where it's like, because there's a very different perspective of a lot of my clients that I work with that are 60s, that are business owners, and like kind of what you're saying now, amplify that times a million, where they like couldn't give a shit otherwise about anything else other than the family, seeing how their kids are doing. At that point, your kids are out there in college or having their wedding soon, or you know, again, my parents are like late 50s right now, so they have grandchildren. So like, it's like you're in that phase where it's like you just care about that next generation, right? It's like you're just seeing your kids grow up, and now they're gonna have kids. And so, you know, for me, it was so important because like I know that I'm never gonna retire, because I love moving still, and we're both fortunate that we can do it from home. Like, I don't have to technically anymore be at places. I decide to go to places. And so for me, like, COVID helped me get into that world, and I'm not leaving. Like, I ain't fucking leaving.
Because you guys used to have everyone there.
Right, all in person. You know, I was in the city all the time. I was always moving. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy doing those things still from time to time, right? But like you said, you go, I don't know if I'm gonna do these things anymore, right? Because like it throws off your schedule, like you have your time allocation. So my point though is like I think about the holidays. To me, like when I think about the future and my like vision and like my fantasy of like my kids, their kids, I'm picturing like, you know, the Christmases at my house, and you see your kids. That's why I like having at least 2, 3, whatever kids, because then it's like they come over, they have their boyfriends or girlfriends or this or that, and you know, it's like a big thing, you know. So that's why for me, I always wanted that so bad. But I want to prepare so that, again, when it comes to that point in time, that's the time where you're like, oh, I'm tired physically, my back is hurting, my knees are shot, you know, we're all like that age. And then you can't go do certain things, or you're like, then you're really fucked if you didn't build the businesses or yourself up for, you know, where you want to be.
Yes.
Which is the important part.
I'm all about delegation now. Yeah. Because I don't want to do everything anymore at all.
Right.
And like.
Which you used to be so bad with.
So bad.
Used to not want to give away anything.
Pregnancy helped a ton, actually, because like it forced me into situations where I had to trust people to do their job. And you know what? They did it amazing. But like, that's why I just think everything happens for a reason. Because what I actually truly wanted was, I didn't want to be going into the office every day. I didn't but I would have never got out of my pattern. Right. I was like forced out of my pattern, but ultimately it got me what I wanted and to be where I wanted to be. And like, the past 5 months postpartum have been really hard for me. There was like really heavy times too, but I like knew, I just like knew, you know what, like I'm figuring myself out, and this is just a season, and ultimately like I'm gonna figure it out to get to like where I like really wanna be. Yeah. You know, like it was hard. But that's why I want to say it, because I didn't know that it was going to be so hard. I thought you have the baby and then you're like playing house, like taking care of a baby. Yeah. Oh God. Like it's just everything your body goes through, even just like dripping sweat all the time, like waking up drenched in sweat, drenched in milk, like so much goes on.
Yeah.
And I had a C-section too. So I had to recover from that surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
And most, because I know like I didn't grow up breastfed. I know a lot of people like weren't growing, like, but Jacqueline wanted to do pumping, and you know, her sister did it, and a lot of people did it. And she sent me something that said, like, when you're pumping daily, the calories you're burning while pumping are equivalent to running like 2 miles or something insane. And it's like, so
it takes a lot of your energy.
It does. So to create the milk, to pump the milk, to do all that shit. So it's like most guys don't realize how much like the woman's really going through.
And also, I just want to add too, like when you are pumping, it's really hard to do other things because they move around.
Oh my gosh,
like
yes.
I have ones now that are like strictly in the bra too,
yes.
but the other ones,
are they the mobile ones you can move around with?
The other ones
has, yeah.
stick out too. You can, and still, even the mobile ones, it's hard to even. You can't have the baby. They move over, and then the worst when you pump for like 40 minutes and it
then
was
they spill
off or it spills like. But I was like in this crazy loop where it's like, okay, you got to wake up, you got to pump, you got to do blah 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 blah. The baby goes in. Oh my god, I got to pump again. Oh, I got to pump again. This. It was like I was just.
You know, I love that you're
crazy.
But you figured it out though. Like that's the cool part. Is like so. Like,
you always will. You'll always figure it out.
You're always gonna figure it out.
Might lose your mind.
In the process.
But you'll find it again.
But you'll regain it.
Always figure it out. Yeah.
That's really cool. Talk to me about these bracelets you got going on. I'm really and like intrigued by it. And also when you do have some guy ones, or if they are unisex, because like you were asking me about mine. Like I do like wrist accessories. I'm a watch guy. So talk to me about this.
Well, you know what's good is when you have accessories, but it means something. This is one of the bracelets.
Okay.
And
very cool. What is that?
Lotus flower.
Lotus flower, okay.
Yeah. So
very nice.
The company is called My Power. It's bracelets that bring strength. And this is I'm calling like my passion project. Yeah. Because it started when I was at my rock bottom in life a couple years ago, and I was really going through a lot of hell, and I had depression and anxiety from it, and I bought myself a bracelet that said "Be Free," and what that bracelet meant to me was to be free from everything holding me down, and I used to wear it every day, and I used to look at it, and it was like my little thing to myself, like my little reminder, right? So fast forward, I have an idea that I want to start a company like that for people. And at that time, I was still going through it, wasn't the right timing. So then fast forward, just about a year ago, I was actually praying. I listened to a Joel Osteen podcast about praying for big blessings. Don't just pray to be able to pay your mortgage, pray to be able to pay your house off. Right. And I said, he's so right. So, you know, I'm sitting in my living room and I'm like praying these big prayers. Right. And, it came to me, the idea again, but it came to me like shouting, like, wait, you need to start this now because this is your calling. Like, this is your destiny that's going to lead you to fulfillment, to be able to help and impact people and just help people. I went to school for psychology because I wanted to help people. Ultimately, like, that's what I wanted out of life. Right. So the company's called My Power, and the first collection is the Lotus collection because the lotus flower is about a flower growing out of the mud and blossoming and being reborn. So what this bracelet is it's your reminder that the power is always in your perspective. So ultimately, my power is actually allowing me to step into my power by helping inspire other people to find their power. Love that. So it's an item that you would either gift to yourself or to someone else that kind of needs that little reminder of strength, that needs that reminder of a perspective switch. Right. You know, like you're really in the thick of it and it's kind of like you wear this every day and you look at it and it's like, oh yeah, okay, it's not that bad. Like it's your perspective switch. Yeah. So I just started the Instagram for recently. Yesterday or the day before. So brand new. Yeah. I did this the whole thing while I was pregnant. Wow. I started it and 2 days later I found out I was pregnant. I did all the sampling, all the developing, everything while I was pregnant. The product arrived right before the baby. Wow. So I haven't been able to launch it yet. And I kept saying I'm not going to stress myself out more by starting another company. It'll come when the time comes. But I just started the Instagram for it, and the Instagram is so cool because it's so different than like the Shoefairy. The Shoefairy is all about photo shoots and products and This is about purpose. So like it's going to be tons of quotes, just inspiring quotes, things about perspective. Like when I was really like going through it, I loved quotes. Yeah. Obsessed with saving, sharing quotes and this and all that. So like the basis. Do you have a favorite? aspire not to have more, but to be more has always been my favorite.
I like that a lot.
I feel like that's how I live. Yeah, so this company it's like I haven't launched it, but I've been giving the bracelets out to people all the time that like need it. But the other day was actually really profound because I've been dragging my feet with like needing to launch it, right? Like I need to just like do a soft launch, get it out so that like we can just start. But you know, a lot's been going on. So the cat groomer, I have a mobile cat groomer, she came the other day and I got a text from her texting service saying how she would be out until April helping family in Iowa.
Okay.
So I go to talk to her and I'm like, oh, I got your text that you'll be out till April to help family in Iowa. What's going on? And she was like, my mother's dying.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. What's going on? So she's telling me a story about her mom on hospice, only having like a couple days left pretty much, and she starts crying. So I'm like dying inside. So we're talking through and I go, stay here, I just have something for you. So I run upstairs, I grab her one of the bracelets. The packaging, I put a lot into the packaging. When you open the card, there's a lot
I'm stoked to see it.
The card has a lot of meaning to it. So I gave it to her and I said, this is something I've been working on, like, and it's for people when you're going through something, just make sure you read it before you look at it.
Yeah.
So I tell her that and she couldn't even thank me. She was holding in her tears, like so choked up that I turned around, I hugged her, I went inside, I shut my door and I started bawling my eyes out. So she sends me a text later on and she was thanking me for it, saying how she feels that the Lord used me to touch her heart when she needed it most. And that I'm going to impact like so many people. Yeah. And I was like, wow, because that was my purpose of it. And I feel like God used this as like light a fire under my ass. Like, come on. Yeah. It's wild. The whole thing behind it is, it's like, I'm not doing it for money. Right. I'm doing it because I genuinely just want to make people feel good and I want to help people when they need it and give them that strength and that reminder.
That's incredible. Side note, so Joel Osteen, fire, love Joel Osteen.
I love Joel.
Have you ever listened to Stephen Furtick? I'm gonna send you some of his shit. You're gonna love this guy. Same concepts, but good messages, right? You get good messages from certain people. I always get good messages from Joel, get good message from him. Those two I bounce between. But yo, fire. I'll send you a link just so you have one. But that's incredible. That's cool. So this next phase, you're focused on purpose. Getting this out there, helping people. That's really cool. So where do you see that going? What's next for that? Where do you see that? Going?
I see that as something I'm doing now where I the next step right now, I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out the branding and stuff, but I'm just getting it started to get it started. But where I actually see it going is I feel like it's truly my purpose, my God-given purpose, and it's going to blow up into something really big. So I do know that I want to be able to start the My Power Foundation and have a foundation to be able to give back for tons of different things and things that I want to do. Again, it's in my control. I have that luxury. Right. How I want to help people, and I don't know, I think it's going to be something really, really, really big. And I want each collection, I have ideas for other collections. So the Lotus collection is one. Another one can be the butterfly with transformation and the phoenix and all these different things. So also the cool thing is, one of the messages it says in the card is the idea is to always grow through what you go through. So the logo, I designed my dot power, and the dot represents the separation from who you were to who you're becoming.
I'm breaking this thing today. I'm gonna break this fucking thing today, Rob. This thing's broken. Wow, that's fucking fire.
Yeah, I did all this while I was pregnant.
Do you think that this could be? I feel like you should leverage the Shoefairy's following to post something about it, obviously.
Yeah,
I was gonna say you got
and include, do email blasts and giveaways and stuff. But this is.
Wait, you got to be Alexa behind the curtain again. This isn't your company. No, you got to be, guys. There's this great brand. I don't know who's doing this. You got to check it out, ladies. This is the best.
I don't know who's behind it.
Somebody sees you wearing out, you see oh, you got the same thing? I don't know. Oh my God.
No, but I have to be behind it because I really want to have a video where I am sharing where this derived from and the meaning, because that's the bulk of it.
Totally.
It's not, it says on the website I'm designing too, it's not just a product, it's so much more than a product, it's a purpose.
Totally.
The bracelet is just a byproduct.
It's very nice looking though.
Oh, thank
I like
you.
the back of it and everything is nice. That's really cool.
So it's all silver and gold, aside from one rope one, but it's jewelry, you know how there's bracelets, colorful stuff. I wanted everything to be silver and gold so you can dress it up or whatever. But yeah, there's different versions. So there's beaded. This one is the pull chain. There's a nice cuff one.
That's
and
really
then
nice.
rope one. Like different variations. They all have a lotus on it.
Very cool. So much has gone on. You should be proud of yourself. You really should. I mean, I know it's hard to do that. When you and I talk about this a lot, I say that, but I'm not easy. I can't do it to myself easily either. But like again, you've grown so effing much since the 2016 when I met you in the office to now, and now you have a child, right?
Yeah.
So bananas. Now, I have 2 questions for you. And they're gonna be different ones. I asked you this in the past. I'm switching it up on her, Rob. I'm switching it up. So
Coffee.
Go. Just drinking coffee. This is sponsored by Dunkin'. Not really. But so, okay. It's a similar legacy conversation like I've asked you in the past, but now you have a child. Who, when little Frankie and your future other kids are in a room, right, and they're talking, and somebody says to them, you know, what's your mom like?
This is gonna make me cry. I don't know why.
What do you want Frankie to say?
I'm gonna cry.
Rob, stop crying back there. Rob's crying. I'm crying.
Oh man, I feel like I can't answer. It's gonna make me cry.
So we'll take one more sip. She needs more coffee. We need more coffee here.
I really want to set the bar for my children so that they always see me as someone that never took the easy route with anything.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm cleaning or something, I'm gonna do everything to its entirety until it's finished. Everything that I have or I do, I'm working towards. I'm putting the work in. Like, I want them to take away that like things aren't just given. Like you have to earn it and have integrity behind everything. And just being a good person and trying to make other people feel good and lift other people up and have good intentions, because that's who I am and that's what I want to be able to bleed onto them. Right. That's beautiful. And isn't that so crazy to think about that? Like, it is. Like I'm the biggest soft little bitch when it comes to fucking Johnny and now obviously the twins and just Jacqueline in general, because it's like, oh my gosh, what's more important than that? You know, like the way that they see you, you know? And I'm sure obviously you had your things when you were growing up with your parents that weren't always perfect, just like I had mine. And you see things that you don't want to pass on, right? Generational things, you're like, fuck that, I'm not bringing this over or whatever. And it's like, when you think about those kids, and especially from a mother's perspective, like when you see, like, no joke, the first wedding that I went to after we had Johnny, I think it was like 2 or 3 months after, right? And it was like the son and the mother dance. I cried like a fucking baby thinking about Jacqueline dancing with Johnny. And I'm like, oh my God, Jack. I'm like, that's gonna be you. I was like, crying. Everyone's like, dude, why are you crying? I'm like, something in my eye. But it's like so. Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's so hard to explain. You know, the level of just like connection. And I think it's also like a matter of I can't believe that I'm actually here. Right. Because we're used to being the kid. Correct. And then all of a sudden you enter this next like pivotal phase of life where, wait, I'm not just the kid anymore. I'm the parent. Right. They're looking up at me. I'm a dad. Yeah. Like my impact like is a reflection of you. Like you know, it's the one quote that I heard that shook me. I follow this Stoic philosophy thing, and he has another channel called like Daily Dad, and it just gives you like daily dad things. And they said something along the lines of, you know, it was, I forget who said it. It was somebody who said it. It might even be Walt Disney, I think. Something crazy like that, something big. But the guy said, rarely has a child ever been great at listening to their parents. But they've always watched what their parents do and repeat it. And so you know, so isn't that deep? Because you're like, stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this. And it's like they never listen. But you'll see, like, I know, and this breaks my heart to say things like I know people that I grew up with that, like, you know, their parents were heroin addicts. And, you know, and then they, you know, were like, I'm never gonna be like that, I don't wanna be like that, and then boom. Like I know a girl, literally, that is now a heroin addict and is down in Atlantic City probably doing you know what. And it's like, history repeats itself when you bring those things into your parenting. And it's not about what you say,
It's literally about what you do. And that's what shakes the fuck out of me, you know, because it's like your kids are a product of, I forget the ratio, but it's like primarily their environment they grow up in, not in their household, but what they tend to and they stick to in school. So they learn most of who they want to be and who they are when they're in school, and what they're going to start to do, like if they're going to start vaping, or if they're going to play sports, or if they're going to be like straight edge and not drink or do anything. It's the circles they build in school that influence them the most. And then secondarily is your household and what you want them to do, and blah, blah, blah. And have you ever heard of Johnny Drinks? So it's like a huge influencer, and like it's like a father-son duo. During COVID, they made a thing and just started to like do cool shit. But anyway, I had him on my podcast, and I was talking to him, and he goes, I learned from his son John, so they're both John, and he's like, I learned from my son John. I was his football coach, and I was like really hard on him, and one day I came home and my wife fired me from being the football coach. And she was like, you're not going back to coach. She goes, I called everybody ready, you're done coaching. And this guy was like the head coach of like a middle school team. So he's like, what? Why would you do this? He's like freaking out on her, and she's like, your son doesn't want to play football anymore because you. And she's like, and that's ruining your relationship with your son. So he's like, and he used to like get pissed at his son Johnny, because his son Johnny would want to play video games, and he want to go outside and throw a football around, and he would want to do whatever. And he's like, my job as a parent is to observe who my kid is and to help them be the best version of that person, not who I want them to be. And he's like, and that's he's like, that's where we had that issue with me and my son growing up, is that I wanted him to be a fucking star athlete, and he didn't want that. And he's like, but that made all these issues between me and my son. So it's like, oh my goodness, like these are the things on top of business that we think about now, right? It's like we got to think about the future and what our kids are going to think about.
It's a whole other level.
It's fucking crazy. But anyway, I'm so grateful for your time to be here instead of with Frankie, and I'm excited to meet him eventually. And your future children, the one of the three, maybe you'll have 10 like Frankie, big Frankie wants. Who knows?
He would be thrilled.
But and so real quick, plug for people that may be watching this for the first time. Can people get the bracelets yet? Like, and also talk about Shoefairy real quick. Like, where can they find you? My Power is at My Power Bracelets. Okay. Website link is there. It just didn't launch yet. It's in progress. Yeah. So My Power Bracelets. I'm Alexa Stimp. I think I'm going to start sharing more on Instagram. Okay. I think I'm coming back. The comeback is greater than the setback. I have so many things I want to share. It's just a matter of if I have time, you know? Yeah. And then the Shoefairy is at the Shoefairy _, and my nude heel line that I launched right before I was pregnant is at Naked Heels. Right. The fun never ends. It never ends. What could she do next? Who knows? But, and for anybody who's watching this, if you're especially, I don't think you need to be a woman entrepreneur to be inspired by you, you know, or just, you know, I think there's a lot of people and men who could be inspired by what you're doing. Like I said to you earlier, you should be so proud of yourself. I've seen so much growth, and for what she's doing on her brand, you really, really should give her a follow. So thank you. Thank you again. It's crazy. You went from being a just, you know, young girl trying to start a business to succeeding at starting the business and getting the business going, to now, you know, freaking engaged, you know, you have a kid, you know, you have your business, you're starting another business. You got a lot going down for you, and it's just amazing. So thank you for your time today. Thank you. And guys, give her a dang follow. Bam.